Hello and welcome to Kotak Securities. You're watching Kotak Chatroom. My guest today is from Inox Green Energy Services. Please welcome Mr. Devansh Jain, Executive Director of Inox GFL Group. Mr. Jain, thank you so much for joining us on Kotak Chatroom.
It's a pleasure to be on this.
Okay, so to begin with, the company is raising around 370 crore through fresh issue. Sir, can you please give us an idea about how the money is going to be utilized?
So there are two components to the IPO. There's a primary piece, which is 370 crores, and there's a secondary piece, which is going to Inox Wind Limited, which is a promoter company of Inox Green Energy Services Limited, which is also 370 crores. With respect to the primary piece of 370 crores, what we've outlined is we will be using 270 crores for repayment of debt. The remaining 100 odd crores is for general corporate purposes, but will also primarily be used to make the entity a debt-free entity. At the parent level, Inox Wind level, where also 370 crores would be coming in from the secondary piece of the transaction, while there's no clear specific detailing done, but all of it would ideally and primarily be used towards debt repayment.
Okay. Sir, we would like to understand, give us a sense about the business and revenue model the company has, because the company is a part of Inox GFL Group and also associated with renewable space. So, what kind of business and revenue model the company has?
So Inox Green is one of the largest wind O&M service providers in the country. Uh, Basically, it's a very stable cash flow driven business. It's akin to an annuity business, except that it's growing at a very phenomenal rate. Since inception until now, over the past 9 years, we've grown at a CAGR of about 40%. And mind you, that included the period when the wind sector went through a bad phase. I mean, today, if you look at the larger picture, India has announced a overall renewable energy target of almost 500 gigawatts by 2030, and we are presently at 150 gigawatts. So we expect to see phenomenal growth on the renewable energy side of it. I mean, as you supply more and more renewable energy equipment, you need more and more renewable energy services. So this company, Inox Green, is ideally positioned to take a big chunk of that. I think what's also unique and what is cropped up is given the pains in the wind sector for the past 4 years when we were transitioning from a feed-in tariff regime to an auction regime, and now that it's been completed and the sector is poised for very high growth, over this period, a lot of players went out of business. And I think that's thrown up almost 12 gigawatts of assets which are being serviced by the unorganized sector and not strong independent service providers. And I think that throws up a very unique opportunity for us to go out and pick up or acquire a big chunk of that business. So, broadly speaking, what we're doing at Green is basically we're taking care of all the O&M solutions. We take care of the entire turbine, the line, and the substation. We provide comprehensive solutions. And I think for the next 2 to 3 years, I think we are very bullish in terms of growing this organically and inorganically. And thereafter we may expand into other green services arena. I think in terms of the business model, we have approximately 3 gigawatts of operating fleet, which has built-in escalation clauses. Now, besides that, how we also intend to grow this business organically is Inox Wind and Inox Green have entered into an exclusive arrangement wherein every turbine going forward which Inox Wind sells, all those O&M contracts will flow into Inox Green. So Inox Wind has an order book of almost 1,300 megawatts as of June 2022, which is probably one of the largest order books in the sector across PSUs like NTPC, retail customers, as well as IPPs. Besides that, as I mentioned, there's a large inorganic opportunity in front of us. So I think that's how we are looking at running and growing this business.
सर फॉर रिटेल इन्वेस्टर्स जो छोटे निवेशक है उनके समझने के लिए आई जस्ट वांट टू आस्क दिस क्वेश्चन दैट वी ऑल नो दैट दिस Inox Green Energy Services is a subsidiary of Inox Wind. So अगर बिजनेस को डिफरेंशिएट किया जाए या फिर रेवेन्यूज को और इनकी स्ट्रैटेजीज को डिफरेंशिएट किया जाए तो दोनों कंपनियों में किस तरह का डिफरेंस है?
देखिए, Inox Wind is an equipment supplier. It's in the business of supplying turbines, and that's the primary model. So it's a capital goods play or a technology play in the wind sector. We've seen some transition pain as we move from feed-in tariffs to auctions. But what Inox Green is a plain vanilla annuity business, as I mentioned. Very, very stable cash flows. We typically enter into very long-term contracts, 7 to 20 years, which also keep getting renewed, which built-in escalation clauses across our customers. So अगर आप customers हमारे देखें, almost 65% of our customers, roughly, are the largest IPPs who are very high credit quality grade players. Almost 20 odd percent are public sector enterprises, which are anyways sovereign rated. And then we have about 10 to 15%, which are retail and private sector clients. So this is a very, very stable cash flow. It's akin to a FD business and an equity business. The only differentiation I'll do is, unlike very stable annuity business, this is a very, very high growth business, Inox Green. So it's kind of a hybrid model of debt and equity, if I may answer this for retail investors.
Because it's very actually I was reading about the company, and then in fact I got confused कि basically differences क्या है दोनों ही companies में, और किस तरह से इसको bifurcate किया जा सके business को. Okay, so please help us to understand and give us a breakdown of your wind power capacity portfolio.
At Inox Green level, I suppose.
Yes.
So at Inox Green, we have roughly 2,800 to 3 gigawatts installed on a pan-India basis. As I mentioned, about 65% of our contracted capacities are with some of the largest IPPs in the country. About 25% are with some of the largest public sector enterprises, and about 10 to 15% are with the retail and corporate customers. This is spread across all the 8 key windy states of the country. I think we are probably on an ongoing basis amongst the largest, if not the largest players in Gujarat, amongst the largest in Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh. And we have a presence across obviously Karnataka, Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, Kerala, and Tamil Nadu. As many of our viewers may be aware, I assume, Gujarat, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, and Tamil Nadu are probably the 4 biggest states for wind. And I think we are amongst the largest players in 3 out of these 4 states.
So I was reading about your operation and maintenance service portfolio also. Help us to understand this regarding this portfolio, and क्या क्या चीज़ें इनमें इंक्लूड होती है, कौन कौन सी सर्विसेज आप प्रोवाइड करते हैं इसके अंदर.
देखिए, जैसे कि मैंने एक्सप्लेन किया, वी आर अ comprehensive solutions provider, यानी कि we take care of the entire wind turbine, and we also take care of the entire line and substation. From an Indian market context, what is very important is all the retail, captive consumers, all the public sector enterprises, and mostly almost majority of the IPPs require us to take care of end-to-end business. So what we do at Inox Green, we take care of all the preventive maintenance. We focus more on preventive maintenance as opposed to reactive maintenance. I think we take care of all the wear and tear of the equipment. We take care of torquing, greasing, uh, oiling, the normal servicing which is required in a turbine. We also take care of all breakdown maintenance. So if any component was to fail or any special services are required, such as blade repair, painting of the towers, we take care of all of that. We also maintain the entire lines in the substations, as I explained. We also do end-to-end in terms of billing to the discoms, collection from the discoms or central bodies like SECI and NTPC, and doing end-to-end collection for our customers. So it's a complete turnkey solution where the customers really don't need to do anything. We are also providing analytics and asset performance services. We also provide forecasting based on general wind trends so that people can predict what kind of generation would be expected on a day-ahead basis or a weekly basis, so that they can also participate in day-ahead and forward markets, given there are various instruments which have come out in the Indian market for forward sale of renewable energy. Other than that, I think what we've also done is we have covered all our customers from an insurance policy. So given our track record over the past 10 years, we have very, very competitive and all-inclusive industrial risk policies for the entire fleet which we operate, which further de-risks our customers. And I think that talks about the 10-year or 9-year track record which we have with focus on our uptime and the limited claims which we have under insurance. So I think all in all, it helps our customers overall, reducing their cost and increasing their uptime.
Okay. Uh, Devansh, you have established that record, as you said, and favorable national policy also, and visibility for future growth also is there. So, what kind of growth or CAGR growth we can expect from next 3 to 5 years?
So, Hindu, as you may be very well aware, uh, given we're launching an IPO at this point in time, I can't make forward-looking statements. All I can
Yeah,
say is,
but just wanted to know, the plans or the pipelines of the company so that we will
sure,
get an idea about it.
sure. I think a good benchmark would be from inception until now, we've grown at a CAGR of 40%. And mind you, this includes the 4 year of shutdown in the sector. Had it not been for that, we would probably be growing much faster, number one. Number two, as I mentioned, we would be growing in three ways. One, we already have a 3 odd gigawatt of base at Inox Green with a built in escalation clause, typically of about 5% per contract. So that keeps increasing our revenue and our profitability as we move forward. Secondly, on the organic side of things, as I mentioned, we have an exclusive arrangement with Inox Wind, wherein all the turbines on an ongoing basis which Inox Wind sells, all those O&M contracts will flow into Inox Green. And as of June 2022, Inox Wind had an order book in excess of 1300 megawatts across PSUs, retail customers, and IPPs, probably one of the largest order books in the sector. As some of you may also be aware, Inox Wind recently launched a 3.3 megawatt turbine, which was inaugurated by the Honorable Chief Minister of Gujarat. It is one of the largest turbines in the country with 146 rotor diameter. Further reduces the cost of the already most competitive wind renewable energy by about 20 to 30%, depending on which site you are at. So I think we are very, very well primed to keep growing the wind business, which in turn will lead to further growth organically at the Inox Green level. And the third part of the strategy, as I explained, was the inorganic growth opportunities. Of the 40 gigawatts of installed capacity of wind in India, this is besides the organic growth which will kick in. Out of that 40 gigawatts, almost 12 gigawatts of assets are such where the OEMs have gone bankrupt or exited. And this has all happened in the past 4 to 5 years when there was a lot of pain in the sector when we were transitioning from feed in tariffs to the auction regime. So all this fleet of 12 odd gigawatt is primarily being serviced by unorganized players who are very small, not professional management teams, don't have access to working capital and financial muscle. I think our larger game plan is to go and acquire this market. So I hope that gives you a idea as to how we want to move forward and grow this business.
Absolutely. Uh, So I was going through your balance sheet. The company's revenue is continuously increasing, but how is that you have a debt of nearly 1,000 crores, and what is the reason for it, and how are you going to reduce or write it off?
So, Indu, this business, as I mentioned, is an annuity cash flow business. This business requires no debt. Having said that, when the wind sector was going through pain, and there was no supplies happening in the market because of various policy issues at that point in time, and we were transitioning from feed-in tariff to auctions. Obviously, today we are without any government subsidy, and there is all the transition pain is behind us. So you're actually in a virtually sellers market, and the wind sector coming back very strongly. But during the pain period, bankers were very comfortable lending to the O&M services part of the business, which was a subsidiary of Inox Wind, a 95% subsidiary of Inox Wind. Simply because they said, ये तो cash flow business है, इधर तो पैसा आते रहेगा, टरबाइन बेके ना बेके कब चालू हो पता नहीं. So effectively, what happened? We had to take on the debt under this entity. Frankly speaking, we had almost 1,000 crores of debt under this entity, majority of which we've given back to Inox Wind. We're still left with about 370 crores of bank debt, and the primary proceeds of the IPO are 370, which would primarily make this company debt free. Now, as you mentioned 900 odd crores, but actually the net debt is 800 because as of the balance sheet, which is in the public domain, it shows 900 debt and 100 cash. So if I start with 800 crores of net debt, mota mota 400 odd crores is the primary piece of the issue, which will go over towards paying 400 crores of debt. That leaves 400 odd crores. We have a 50 megawatt SPV under Inox Green. As many of you will be aware, we had four other such SPVs. Three we sold to Adani and one to Torrent. This is the last SPV, which we also expect to flip in the next few months. This would take away 300 crores from the balance sheet. So you have 400 crores going away from the primary piece of the IPO, 300 crores going away when we flip the last SPV in the system, and 100 odd crores was the equity we had put into those four SPVs, which has already been recouped. So effectively, if I look at it post the IPO and selling the last SPV, we're basically looking at Inox Green being a net debt-free entity. And then at the end of the day, this business only throws up cash. It doesn't require any borrowings.
Last question, Devansh. There's a high time to switch into renewable space and other energy sources. What is your outlook for the entire green energy space?
Oh, look, I think renewables has become the buzzword globally. I think that's been there for the past few years. Having said that, I think from a if I just give you some broad indications, the U.S. under President Biden passed the 379 billion climate change plan. Majority of the countries in Europe have announced 50, 75 to 100% of all fuel sources to be driven by renewable energy, ranging from 2030, 35 to 40. And given the larger Russia-Ukraine context, war context, majority of the countries are trying to pull this back because, as Modi ji has termed the word Atmanirbhar, that's the only way to be Atmanirbhar. If we look at China, China's almost putting in 120 gigawatts of renewable energy year on year. And this is only expected to increase given that they've announced a net zero program by 2060. While in the larger scheme of things, India has announced a net zero program by 2070. In the near future, by 2030, we are looking at a 500 gigawatt renewable energy program, which is one of the largest renewable energy programs in the world. Presently, we're at 150 gigawatts. So we are talking of 350 gigawatts in the next 8 years. Now, whether we achieve 60% of that volume or 80% or 100%, the sheer numbers are massive. 350 gigs in 8 years means 40 to 45 gigawatts a year. Within the 500 gigawatts, wind is expected to be 175 gigs. And we are presently at 42 gigs. So we are talking of wind really being 16 gigawatts in the next 8 years. What's the maximum wind we've done is about 4.8 to 5 gigawatts a year. The maximum solar we've done is about 15 to 18 gigs. So we are talking of tripling wind on a year-on-year basis and more than doubling solar on a year-on-year basis. Now, this is the larger context, Indu. Within this, you've got some of the largest IPPs like Tata, Adani, JSW, which is all in the public domain, announcing more than 200 gigawatts of investment plans in the next 8 years. And
Correct.
some of the largest public sector enterprises such as NTPC, SJVNL, IOCL announced almost 150 gigawatts of investment program in the next 8 years. And mind you, this is all excluding the retail captive third party market, which is also booming. In fact, just today I was reading about the Serentica platform, which is talking of putting in about $500 million along with KKR for commercial sale of power. So the third party retail commercial captive market, we believe, is also going to boom, besides the larger green hydrogen market. Because at the end of the day, how do you generate green hydrogen? Green hydrogen is nothing but hydrogen generated by using renewable energy to generate hydrogen, right? So you need more and more wind
Right.
and solar for that. So I think given all of this and more and more round the clock tenders, hybrid tenders, I think we are poised for massive growth on the renewable energy side of things.
Okay. Well, on that note, Devansh, thank you so much for being with us and बहुत सारी information आपने हमारे साथ share भी की है and we wish you all the very best for this new journey.
Thank you, Indu. It was a pleasure talking to you and being on this show.
Thank you. Same here.
Investments in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.